I have a shaky hand, so yeah.
That's okay. No worries. Okay, everyone. I'm here again doing another interview for the Circumcision Harms series, docu-series. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a docu-series at this point. There's just going to be too much material to cover, and we're going to break it up into multiple pieces. Today, I have someone from Germany with us, and he, here he was saying he hails from Croatia, but currently living in Germany. So,
Yep.
say hi and introduce yourself, please.
Greetings. The name is Matija Vuksanovic. I know, hard name for everyone. Yeah. Basically from Croatia, moved to Germany. Nothing special about it.
Great.
30 years old.
Yeah. Well, so you sent me
Yeah.
a list
Married.
of
Okay.
a little bit of a story about yourself and how you ended up getting involved with the genital autonomy movement. And
Hmm.
so instead of jumping right
It
into the
is.
questions right away, the structured questions, I want to ask you a few things about what you said.
Yeah,
So
please do.
first of all, starting with the fact that you're in Germany, there's an organization called MOGIS, MOGIS. I
No,
sent it to you in a message. Have you ever heard of that organization?
not really.
No. Okay. So they're a genital autonomy. They do more than that, but they try to address issues of sexual abuse and sexual exploitation as well, not just genital autonomy. But they're based in Germany. So
The only thing I know that is in Germany is I think it was called Red Rose Foundation or something that reverts female genital mutilation damage or something like that, but I'm not 100% sure about it.
yeah, there's multiple organizations addressing the issue of that's focused on the female genital mutilation side
Right.
of things. Yeah, yeah, Red Rose Foundation. It's popped right up with an internet search, and they're yeah.
Or Desert Rose Foundation.
Oh, well, I went out. There's multiple organizations that address female genital mutilation that and they use flowers as in
No,
their names. So like Orchid Project is another one I'm aware of,
no.
and the founder of Orchid Project actually did a TED talk that I found very interesting, and the things that she says actually applies across the board to the fight for genital autonomy across the board.
It is possible I've seen that talk because I saw a bunch of them, just cannot remember which one exactly.
Yeah, yeah, there are a lot. So, here you say circumcision, male genital mutilation, female genital mutilation, all horrific things. Many people here in Europe don't really know a lot about because in Europe is not exactly practiced. I mean, in Germany, as far as I understand, is just
Mm.
religious practice, right?
Yeah, mostly Muslims and a little bit of Jews that are left. They do that. There's even, I remember there was a comedy show. I heard the name of the comedian. He basically said, "Why do they do it? They're too stupid to wash their dish. Why do they cut?"
Yeah, yeah.
Basically, I mean, it was a joke, but I can bet that it hits someone hard when he
Yeah.
hears that.
I'm actually married to a Christian, and she went to a university, a Christian university called Trinity Lutheran, and I personally really struggle with the idea that Abraham um, really spoke with God and really was told to do this. It kind of defies the logic of everything else in the
Yeah,
religion.
to me, all that religious talk defies logic because I'm an atheist. So
Hmm. Yeah,
I cannot really accept religious part too much.
yeah, I understand.
And for all the same as with the circumcision and all that, the same applies for me for religion. When once a person is old enough to choose for themselves, feel free to choose.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Forcing it onto a child is not religious freedom for that child.
It's a horror show.
Yeah. I often say, I'm a big fan of religious freedom. I really am. And my religious freedom was stomped on when I was an infant, and I'm serving a life sentence.
So was mine.
Yeah. It's I'll never get
In
out
my
of this
country,
body.
in my country, if you don't get a child baptized, everyone's gonna spit on you.
Wow.
So yeah, there was even some, yeah, to shorten this talk. Even the kids of atheist parents who had the choice left on them in school were bullied because they have no religion.
Wow.
But that's
That's sad.
not always like that. It's in, you could say, in rural communities
Mm. Yeah.
and
Well, it's
basically backwater places.
yeah, it's a common thing in the entire world, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Very large part of.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you say that you're completely natural, so you're actually intact, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
And to add that many people, many even intactivists don't know, I am intact and always completely covered, even when erect.
Okay, so you have a full coverage.
That can happen. Yeah, full
Yeah.
coverage. It can happen. It can happen. It functions normally,
Hmm.
retracts normally,
Yeah.
no issues. Uh, in my 30 years of life, I only once had a UTI, and that was my own mistake. So I know what I did. I know how it happened.
Yeah.
Never since then. And how did I treat it? 1 week of antibiotics. Yay, done.
Yeah. Didn't get anything cut off, did you?
Simple and easy.
Yeah. Okay. You
One
do.
visit to the doctor.
Yeah. You do cover something that I haven't been covering in the interviews that is very interesting, and I have a very strong emotional desire to educate people on this issue. When you're intact, when your child is intact, you're not supposed to retract to separate the foreskin from the glands. The glands are supposed to be
Yes,
covered during childhood.
exactly. It is even supposed to be fused to the glands.
Exactly. Yeah.
The thing is, many, you could say it, premature retractions, forced retractions cause damage.
Hmm.
I myself had it happen, but late. I was already, you could say, half retractable, and the rest of the other half was forced by my mother. She didn't know better, and she did that what she thought was okay.
Yeah.
I avoided permanent damage. I do remember sharp pain. It hurts
Yeah.
as hell. And yeah, few days after that, it was hurting still.
Yeah.
Basically, to say it through a child's mind, it hurt to do wee wee.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, but no permanent damage. Maybe I lost some sensitivity from that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I keep hearing that when that's done, what you cause in the gland is micro tears, and then the
Yes,
body has to heal that part, and it heals it with scar tissue. Now, scar tissue, I've got multiple scars on my body, and when I touch those scars, there's no sensitivity in those scars. There's no nerves in those scars.
exactly.
So,
There are still nerves. Either they were severed
mhm,
or they are covered by a thicker layer of skin that requires, you could say, bigger stimulation to achieve the same effect.
yeah,
I can say I do have one scar on my foot that I cut my toe. It's a scar. It required 4 stitches. Even today, it hurts. And it's a tiny scar.
yeah,
And if I touch it, it hurts. But
hmm,
if I touch it on the outside, it's numb.
yeah,
If I touch it harder, then I have a normal feeling. So
hmm,
basically, scar tissue, thicker skin.
yeah. Yeah, I've got quite the scar about this big for my appendix.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
I still have my appendix, no problem there.
Oh, lucky. Not that I performed much as far as function, but I guess they found out that there is function to the appendix. So
I have 99% of the body parts I was born.
So yeah, so with the scar or the scarring, not scarification. That's another practice that's practiced in some cultures. That's also horrific. But what really worries me, and I've made a video about this, but like if someone forcefully retracts over and over and over again, and that you keep getting those tears, and then it keeps trying to repair itself, what are the chances that it repairs itself where the inner mucosa permanently attaches itself to the glands, and then the child is never ever able to retract in the future?
Yeah, that would be a proper phimosis. That would literally be a phimosis.
As far as I understand, there's actually multiple forms of phimosis. I mean, there's also paraphimosis, but I'm just talking about phimosis where you can't retract, and that can cause pain because when the erection happens, then the foreskin wants to come down and disconnect from the glands. And if
from what I read once, I don't know what site it was. I'm really not sure, but I read about a guy who had phimosis for most of his life, and he was unaware of that. So basically, what happened when he had erection, the same thing happened. What happens when people do foreskin restoration? His skin stretched to accommodate the growth.
Yeah.
So he could get erect with a fully sealed off gland.
Yeah.
And it functioned normally until somebody told him that it was not normal. What happened to him?
Yeah.
So after visit to the doctors and all that, he used the creams. I think it was a steroid cream or something, and to get it loose. And I don't remember all the details. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So my thinking is, there's a phimosis where I think like the ridged band, there's the muscular part of the prepuce that makes it close up near the end, and for children that creates a bit of a sphincter, so it allows fluids to come out, but it doesn't let anything get in. So if that doesn't relax, then that is going to make it difficult for the prepuce to come back. And also, if it even if it's still a little bit of tight, when it does come back, it can cause paraphimosis, where it gets past the head of the glands.
It gets stuck there,
trapped there, and that's paraphimosis. But I think that what also happens, and I think there's a lot of doctors that just don't understand. Some doctors think that children have phimosis because things aren't separating there yet, where it's actually still adhered to the glands.
As I wrote to you before, it is quite, you could say, common knowledge in my country that the foreskin should be retractable between the first and fourth primary school grade. That's around ages 7 and 10.
Yep.
But for some, it can happen a bit later. I do remember, I think it was third grade, we had physical examinations, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They always checked us out basically every year for those first 4 years. And one of the kids in my class had problems. His foreskin was stuck. We were joking around. We were kids. It was a joke for us. And we do remember when he finished his examination, we asked him, what did the doctor say? Yeah, he said to pull it back often, slowly and carefully. Okay. Did he say, will it hurt? He said it might hurt a little bit, but if it hurts, stop.
Yeah.
And next year, examination, he had no issue.
Yeah. And what worries me is, there's some Puritan parents out there that will tell their children not to play with themselves down there, right? I think that's damaging because they actually need to play with themselves down there in order to get things to loosen up.
That's true. And basically to get to know their body. Yeah. It is bad growing up not knowing what your body does, what feels like. It's just a bad thing. They are not going to grow hair on their palms from playing down there. They're not going to go blind.
Yeah, that's not just a joke that came up with from someone. That's actually something that a doctor, sometime in the early 1900s or late 1800s, actually suggested that
Yeah, come on. I am a kid
masturbation
of the
creates
90s.
blindness.
I'm a kid of the 90s, and they told me that I would grow hair on my palm
Oh
from that.
wow, that's yeah.
I mean,
Well,
yeah, that was more like jokingly said, but still, I mean, come on.
yeah. I remember when I was a teenager, people would talk about, "Oh, you're gonna go blind." And it's like, what? I didn't understand the connection until I was in my 40s and started studying the history of this. It's like, oh, a doctor actually suggested that. Wow.
I mean, come on.
Oh my gosh.
It's,
Give me a lot
okay,
of
we
faith.
can understand. I can understand 100 years ago, people did not know many, did not
Yeah.
know certain things. They were presuming certain things. Hell, I can even understand people doing circumcision 2,000 years ago somewhere in a backwater Sahara.
Yeah.
I can understand that. Maybe in that time it did serve a purpose. Through all that sand and all that, and the inability to do regular hygiene and all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
today, 21st century, come on, everyone has a shower.
Yeah. I actually asked that question, and I have a group on Facebook of intact male intactivists, and I proposed that question. It's like, about the hygiene, thoughts about, before you had running water and everything like that. And they're like, no, that's still a bunch of bull. it's, it's self cleaning and stuff. So, I don't know. I can't
Warm
tell you
water,
firsthand, but
warm water, pull back, rinse, maybe a balanced pH shower gel.
yeah,
I use that technique. I use a neutral pH shower gel. Works for
yeah,
me. Doesn't have to work for someone else.
yeah. Don't want to use harsh soap. You want to,
Yeah. I had a close encounter with it.
yeah. Hey, all you gotta do too is talk with women who have to clean their stuff down there, and yeah, they have a whole section in the stores for proper care of that area down there,
Yeah.
and a lot of those things that they use, but not all, actually apply to intact men too.
Yeah. I tried a few for my wife. She has like a intimate care wash or something, some kind of gel. Tried using that. Works too. No
Oh.
issues. Even smells nice.
That's great. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so I think we already covered that. You said that even at 10 years old, you knew that the prepuce was there for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, it was logical. It was there. So it was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, sometimes when it happened during play, running around, that the prepuce got pulled back and started rubbing on the underwear. Ow, wow. That thing could hurt.
Yeah.
From out of pity. Today it won't. Yeah, but then it was brand new.
Yeah. You covered how you and your buddy came across one boy that was previously amputated or circumcised, and
Yes.
you guys made fun of him. And
Yeah, I feel bad about it now. I mean, we were kids.
Yeah.
It was something we never saw. Like, why doesn't he not have what we do? That's something strange. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. So for those parents in the U.S. or other places where getting preputially amputated is common, using the excuse that your child might get bullied is a bad excuse because it could be totally put the other way around.
So. Yeah, that's no excuse. Especially, I could understand even that excuse back in the 60s, maybe.
Yeah. And I imagine if you were taught, about how something that does happen to boys and how bad it is and everything like that, instead of making fun of the kid, you might have actually had a little bit of pity for the kid.
I do now. I don't even know what the hell happened with the kid. I saw that kid once and never again, and that was 20 plus years ago.
And unfortunately, in the U.S. in sex ed, they don't They don't talk about the differences in why or how it's
Oh,
different.
you guys have sex ed?
Yeah.
We don't.
Oh, really? Oh,
No, we never had that.
oh,
Yeah.
that's
It is you could say highly Catholic culture.
oh, okay.
So sex, no taboo, taboo. I mean, it was in the 90s. Now it's more looser than it was. Now that you could say the old grannies have thrown in the towel.
Yeah. It's funny that you bring up Catholicism because Catholicism is actually against the practice of genital cutting. In fact, I
Exactly.
recently took on the webmaster responsibilities for Catholics Against Circumcision.org.
Hmm.
So if you're
There was
Catholic,
even I think I found that and sent it to someone, but I'm not sure as well when or where. A set of rules that the Vatican did prescribe about that and how is it treated. So basically, in church, any kind of mutilation is forbidden,
yeah,
not just circumcision. Circumcision, if it's done in a medical necessity, is not forbidden.
yeah,
But medical necessity is what? When you try everything, every other
yeah,
option, just immediately go to an extreme.
yeah. Treat it just like any other body part. If it gets to gets
Yeah,
gangrene or whatever, you might have to lop it off then, but don't
no,
otherwise. Yeah. Okay.
exactly that.
Um.
I used to do an analogy a few times. They say uncircumcised penis can stink. That's why they should remove the foreskin. Feet can stink too. Should we remove the feet?
Yeah, I often compare it to it's like, well, we can remove the toes. I mean, if you grew up without toes, you learn how to walk, you probably even run without the toes.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
and your child would avoid gout and athlete's foot and
No.
toenail fungus.
Yeah. It's as simple as hygiene.
Yeah, exactly.
Even from my understanding, even circumcised penises can stink with proper hygiene.
Yeah,
Anything can stink on the body. We're human. We sweat. We
yeah,
build bacteria. Normal.
exactly. You say it was just a couple years ago that you actually started into some research on this.
Yeah. It was around 2 years ago.
Yeah, and
I always knew about certain parts of circumcision, but I never really interested myself. In my mind, it was like that is something that dumb people do,
mhm.
or Muslims or Jews or someone.
Yeah, yeah,
Never really cared much about it.
yeah,
Like many people in Europe don't care about it because it's not happening.
yeah. You say you came across some FGM videos and that
Yeah,
horrified you.
that dreaded, scary, random side of YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning scrolling YouTube, and then you bump into something.
Uh
Like,
huh. Yeah,
2 o'clock in the morning, yeah, already half asleep.
yeah.
Oh, hell
Uh,
no.
oh yeah, exactly. Well, I have to admit that I take advantage of TikTok because I've got a bit of a randomization where you might come across anything, and I've got hundreds of videos out there on TikTok to try to catch people's attention about this issue. They might see someone standing in bloodstained pants outfits or something like that, and hopefully get their attention and do get them to start looking at it just like you started looking at into genital mutilation.
Yeah. The
Um,
worst thing is actually when you once start looking at it. It just starts beeping in your head, this is wrong, but you cannot stop looking at it.
yeah, yeah. It's like watching a train wreck and about to
Yeah.
happen. It's like you can't take your eyes off of it.
But I don't know how people can do it.
Yeah.
Is there no lamp in their head, like in mine, saying, beep, beep, that's wrong, beep, beep?
I think we get conditioned early on in our childhoods, and that beep beep turns off. We're numbed to the empathy side of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
possible.
So I'm really curious from your perspective. people hate it when this is compared, and particularly in the U.S., they'll say you can't compare these two, FGM and MGM. What do you think is worse?
I don't think any one is worse. They are both bad, very bad.
Yeah.
I would say, to a certain degree, certain versions of FGM can be worse.
Yeah.
The type 3 infibulations,
So you do know
they can.
You are familiar with that there are multiple types of female genital.
Yeah, type 4 is like basically anything, but type 3 should be the worst one. If we compare circumcision to type 3 FGM, hands down FGM is worse.
Yeah.
But compared to some types of FGM, comparing to some types of FGM, circumcision can actually be way worse. It removes more tissues, and it does more damage, depending as well for certain things, how it's done, who does it, do they remove the frenulum and all that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that perspective. Us guys in the United States aren't listened to very often when we start talking about it. Of course, most people that we talk to don't have any clue that there's actually more than one type. They just know the type that they've heard on the mainstream media, and that's usually the infibulation. Yeah, and that is horrific. It's absolutely horrific.
And actually, that was the first video of that I saw.
Oh yeah, yeah. You said it literally put you into shock.
I saw a few more after that.
Yeah.
A few more after that, and I can tell you, I was sitting in a balcony, 4 o'clock in the morning, shaking, smoking cigarette after cigarette like a madman, and could not really come to my senses.
Yeah.
48 hours later, I was still awake.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, this topic keeps me up at night a lot of times too. I'm always looking for ways, thinking of ways how to educate the population without having $1 million to throw at billboards or advertisements or whatever.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I see is something online, comment on it. Because over here, basically, there's no need for intactilist. If you say to a Muslim man to not do it, most of them will still gonna do it and they're just not going to care about it.
Yeah.
Because it's their religion and their bread, and that's it.
Yeah. There are
I actually did try with one. I did try with one Muslim guy who used to work with me. When I told him certain things about it, he was actually very surprised. He didn't know anything about it. He just knew that's what it's done.
Yeah, definitely. Good.
I told him, if you tried doing sex with it and then removed it, I can bet you would not do it to your son. Yeah. It is basically to compare it for people who are birth. It is like comparing when they say they're fine. It is like comparing to a colorblind person who says they're fine and they're normal.
Yeah.
But when you get them those special glasses that they can see the color, they start crying.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen those videos.
Yeah.
I actually came across one Muslim man here too. I was out driving and he rode in my car and the topic came up and I started explaining to him how things would work for a normal penis and everything like that. And he totally did not know. And he was very angry that was taking away from him. That was just one aspect of, we're going to go through the whole list of physical harms that are done, but I just talked to him about one aspect of what was missing, and that upset him. And I also talked to him about female circumcision and how it's done a lot in Egypt.
Not just in Egypt.
What's that?
Not just in Egypt. In Egypt.
Yeah.
It is done in many Islamic countries.
Yeah. His grandmother though lives in Egypt. So he was like, "Oh, I'm going to call my grandmother and ask about this. I had no idea." So, yeah.
It is illegal in Egypt, but they still do it.
Yeah. So even if
Nobody
you're dealing with someone that's
prosecutes them.
religious, I think it's good to bring up the topic and make them aware, because otherwise they might not ever question it. They might just go along with
Yeah,
their religion.
many don't. Many just uh, go through the motion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, some of the videos that I saw online, mostly from Muslim countries, uh, those are not baby circumcisions. Those are grown child, 5 to 10 years old, without anesthesia circumcisions. 3, 4 grown men holding a child. You can see the horror and pain on the child's eye. It's horrific.
Yeah.
You can what the hell is going on. Nobody prepared him. Nobody explained anything to him.
Yeah. 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 My wife's OB didn't offer any information when she was asked the question about our first son. Luckily she changed providers and someone gave us information. Yeah, so keep giving that information to people. Don't be afraid to.
I can try. Sometimes it's just much, then I give up for a week or two.
Lots of activists get burnt out, especially when they encounter lots of pushback and cognitive dissonance and all that. Particularly men that are defensive over it, and who knows, you might run into a woman that is defensive about female circumcision.
I know one.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen videos where women, claim, hey, they're better off or whatever.
They're better off.
Yeah, you'll run into the same thing in female cutting cultures as you do.
You basically hear the exact same thing from both sides. It's better off without.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's difficult, this world. It's difficult to educate people about it, especially when they themselves don't want to listen about it and they don't want to accept it.
It's taboo and it's cognitive dissonance that comes up.
Yeah.
There's one other point you made in your letter to me about how your mother works in a retirement home.
Yeah, retirement home in Germany. I'm not going to say which retirement home. I'm not allowed to. I'm not even allowed to say the names or something. But basically, I did ask her once, do people have issues with that? Surprisingly, she said women can get way stinkier than men. But she never mentioned any problems with prepuce or anything. There are caretakers who are designated to wash them, clean them. I don't know if it's just people knowing how to handle body parts over here better or something. I keep hearing excuses from USA. They will have issues when they are older. How? How can I never hear anything about it here?
Yeah. I kind of wonder if the nurses are afraid to clean that part on men
Also
that
possible.
can't take care of themselves down there, and then they don't, out of laziness or fear, discomfort or whatever, and then things develop into problems later on.
Okay, let me tell you something. Do you know how long it actually takes from clean penis to go to putrid? I mean putrid as in disease making putrid. I had days when I was working basically nonstop when I had no time to shower. 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Of course, it got stinky.
Yeah.
But it was still not stinky to the point that it's going to get sick.
Yeah.
So that level of uncare, I would say, takes a month or more.
Yeah.
That's my approximation. I'm not a medical field person, so I'm just approximating them.
Yeah. I hear stories about how men were in the during the war, World War II, and they were in places where they couldn't get showers for several weeks at a time, and then things developed into serious problems.
Yes.
But hopefully, we never ever have a war, anything like that, ever again.
Yeah, modern warfare is going to be something completely different, pushing the buttons, not carrying down the rifle.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, no. And basically, as well, if those men in retirement home did have some issues, for example, UTI, there is simple antibiotics. There are creams. There are washes, whatever the doctors here prescribe it.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's easy to deal with it, just like women deal with their with UTIs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pop an antibiotic, done.
Yeah.
Be careful a little bit more. Yay.
Yeah. Keep yourself washed in there. The females get 9 times as many UTIs as males in
Exactly.
too, so.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start down the list now of the things I like to normally cover. And I'm going to jump into the physical aspects of how things are harmed. But you're an intact man, so I don't think that any of these items on the list apply to you. But if you have any questions about what it is, or if you have any input about it, please speak up. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So the first thing I have on the physical is I like to talk about amputation, because supposedly in the biblical times, instead of cutting off everything that covers the glands, they only cut off the part that hung over in front of the glands. And I think that's where the word foreskin actually came from, because skin that's for the penis, F-R-E, before the penis, not on the penis.
I have to add something to that, actually. One of my colleagues from work, once I came into some intactivist discussion with him. Not really a discussion, just a talk, because we're good colleagues, we talk about stuff. And he said his son actually had some issues down there. And he took him to a doctor. They already tried medicine. That it was really an issue. And the doctor said, yeah, circumcision. He literally argued with the doctor and said, no, you're leaving half of it on. Partial, not complete. But complete would be better. No, you are leaving half of it on.
Yeah.
Done. Okay, it was a medical issue that really needed to be solved. Yeah. Okay. But to argue with the doctor over here, arguing with a doctor is a bit uncommon, you could say. He sat there in his office arguing with him. And the doctor did what he asked.
And it worked?
It worked.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's skin, right? It's skin just like any other skin in your body. If we have problems with skin, we usually use creams or ointments or whatever to try to address the problem. We don't go cutting off skin on other parts of our body to resolve the problem. So.
Exactly.
So, yeah, maybe go see a skin doctor or something else if they're just suggesting lopping it off, and that's all.
No.
Yeah. Sensitive skin. So the prepuce is highly innervated, highly vascularized skin. It's not just a flap of skin. It's nothing like hair or fingernail that you're cutting off. That's body waste. It is sensitive skin, and that was proven both by the Sorrells study and
the part of the highly vascularized I can really confirm because I can literally see it.
Yeah. Like you probably have like one big vein going highly, in there.
4 or 5.
Yeah. It's quite easy to see it. You just have to look at an intact penis. It blows my mind that people think that it's just the useless flap of skin. So,
I can never say that I'm lucky to have it, since it's so common in my country. So I never considered it being lucky about it.
Yeah. Oh,
until now, actually.
You are what a lot of men here in the U.S. would call a lucky stiff. Play on the words, right?
Okay. Yeah. It took me a short second to realize it. Sorry, as I said, English is not my first language.
Yeah, no worries. Glands protection. It does protect the glands. It keeps the glands moist and smooth. buildup of skin cells, which is often referred to as keratinization.
Yeah.
The rolling mechanism. So because it's a double fold of skin, it goes up and then back down to the base of the gland. So it unrolls as the penis becomes erect, and also during sex. If you have over, you said that you're still covered when you have an erection. So during sex, you can have that rolling mechanism during intercourse.
It actually holds the lubricants in. The natural ones or the artificial ones, depending on what we use.
Yeah. So as the penis goes in and out, the lubrication is staying inside the vagina instead of being pulled out into the air and then drying out before it goes back in.
Exactly that. It's basically playing a role of a seal.
Yeah.
O-ring seal or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone that's a good mechanical engineer can relate to this. If you look at my YouTube channel, there's actually a presentation by John Geisker from the Doctors of Post-Circumcision documentary. He was I think it was in the Navy, a Marine engineer. So he relates to a lot of things in the Marine.
This is the engineer terms.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really good.
And I am basically what we in my country would call like a little monkey. I like to dab about everything. So is it about mechanics? Is it about electricity? Is it about this, that?
Oh.
Yeah. My wife calls me Tinkerbell. So yeah.
Yeah. Got active mind. That's great. And that kind of goes into the next thing was the moisture and lube, and you just talked about how there's lubrication there. It's, the male brings their own lubrication when they have their prepuce still.
There is also the part of the pre-cum, which for some instance I don't have.
The what?
The pre-cum could also be. That is also a type of lubrication.
Yeah. Yeah.
From my understanding.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Curiously, some men don't have it.
Yeah.
For example, me.
Really interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say about those things. So.
Yeah. No, don't. Yeah. This is sex positive territory here. The frenulum. The part that is on the bottom of underneath the glands of the penis, and it stretches down to the inner mucosa of the foreskin, the prepuce, and it helps pull things back up, just like the part underneath your tongue.
It acts as an anchor, basically.
Exactly.
And I can tell you one thing. Actually, my ex did a little accident and bit me there.
Ooh.
Ow. Ow. She instantly earned a kick.
Oh.
Reflex kick, not from me. It was a reflex kick.
Exactly.
Ow. That thing hurt for the next 2 hours.
Oh. Gotta be careful with those teeth.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Then there's the ridge band that is pretty much always ablated. That's the part. It's kind of like your lips, the part where the intermucosal part meets up with the outer part. Right. So it's
the borderline.
Yeah. And I understand, that stretches out, and that process of stretching out, you have feeling in that process. I understand that's a sensitive area too.
Depends. It is. Yeah, depends.
I've heard guys say that they can read Braille with it, with that part of the penis.
It depends. For at least for me, sometimes it is, sometimes it is not.
Okay.
I'm a strange guy, so.
Yeah. All right. Some men like myself end up with a hairy shaft, especially when they're having an erection, because it pulls up the scrotum during the erection, and that scrotum is normally hairy, and then a hairy shaft.
Although, from my understanding, also some people can still have a hairy shaft naturally. Even though they're not cut, they can still have it.
Yeah.
You could say that's kind of a body mistake for growing it where it's not exactly supposed to be, but not really too high up, just like a little bit up.
Yeah. I hear well, I'm 50 years old, so I've got hair growing out of some weird places too. So after a certain age, you start getting hairs growing in other places too. But yeah, there's usually a pretty distinct line between the shaft skin and the scrotum, and if you see that line coming up, then that's scrotal webbing. So, and also for guys like me, because the scrotum is being drawn up, the testes get drawn up too and can get squeezed. In my case, when I was younger, it's not happening anymore that I'm older, but it would pull up so much that I would pull one of my testes into my body, and that would be really uncomfortable.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can only imagine that.
Yeah. Not very many. I haven't come across very many men that said that they have that issue. Myelostenosis sometimes happens. You're familiar with that, right?
Yes, the narrowing of the urinary exit.
Yeah. Or even sometimes bridges. I end up having a little skin bridge across my meatus.
Oh.
Yeah, it didn't hurt or anything. It just caused me to spray everywhere when I urinated. Skin bridges, or the skin between the inner mucosa and the glands tries to grow back together.
Body trying to fix what people remove.
Exactly. So there's scar tissue, and sometimes if the boy isn't properly covered with Vaseline or whatever cream, then that can definitely happen.
Yeah, our body is a magnificent machine.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's not magnificent enough to repair it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the prepuce doesn't grow back properly.
No.
Yeah. Erectile dysfunction happens sometimes with cut men for multiple reasons, either for physical problems or psychological, or a combination of the two. And then there's also many other botches that occur where men were cut too much in one way or the other, like the bell wasn't put on straight, or things weren't pulled forward evenly, and then the clamp wasn't put on even, so you end up having a curved penis, or many botches. And sometimes the clamps are put on too low, and they squeeze the glands, or even amputate the glands. Yeah, not a positive thought, especially for men. That okay, so the next section is about partners, and again, since you're intact, I don't imagine any of this applies to you, but maybe you can relate to it. For heterosexual partners, if a woman doesn't create enough lubrication for herself, then the fact that the man doesn't have enough lubrication and doesn't have that rolling mechanism, it makes starting, at least, sexual activity difficult.
Yeah.
Or takes more time.
Actually, yeah. Actually, having that experience does help. Sometimes a woman is not, let's say, horny enough, but still wants to do it, but is not wet enough. It still works, which in normal cases it would not work. If I was caught, it would not work. It would hurt as hell.
Yeah.
And not just her, it would hurt me too.
Yeah. One of my earlier interviews yesterday, she talked about how the cut guys would tear on their penis because there wasn't enough lubrication. Yeah. And then some people perform anal sex, whether you're heterosexual or homosexual, and obviously there's no lubrication there, so the lubrication that's built in is valuable, or you're gonna have to use KY jelly or some other lubrication.
But actually, the rolling part of the foreskin can actually help more with the anal.
Exactly.
Once it actually enters and locks in.
Yeah. because
A guy's just moving inside of his own skin.
exactly. So yeah, there's no friction there as it's unrolling, right? Go that far into
Or
into
is
the anus without any
there is
tugging.
friction, but less.
Yeah.
You could say there's good friction.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's docking, something that males, homosexual males, do.
Mm.
And if one of the males or both of the males don't have their prepuce, there's no docking. Right.
I really don't know much about it. I'm not into those things. Not dabbing myself in that, so
Yeah.
I cannot say much. Don't know.
Yeah. No, that's okay. All right. So the next major section of this is about the psychological effects. And one of the particular parts is for intact men, but I'm going to just go through the list real quick. There's trauma from the cut, and I can imagine you probably imagine, if you were cut down there without your consent or whatever, you would definitely be traumatized. So
Not just traumatized, I would be pissed.
Yeah, just because a baby isn't able to say words about how they feel about it or anything like that.
Come on, I'm pissed for getting baptized.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you can bet how pissed I would be about that.
Yeah, don't physically force religious practices on people.
No.
And there's the trauma from the discoveries of the loss and harm. Now, you yourself didn't lose anything, but it sounds like you were traumatized by learning about this.
Not by learning, but by seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, always knew about it, but seeing it, and especially as I said, with kids 5 to 10, no anesthetic, 3, 4 people holding them, they screaming for dear life.
Yeah.
That's horrific.
Yeah, and these days with the internet, it's not hard to find videos like that.
Yeah, YouTube removed them. Some of them on my own accord, because I was too sick to see it.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. In that moment, I didn't think that could be used at least to educate some.
Yeah.
I was just in overdrive, sick, move.
Yeah. Yeah, I give TikTok a little bit of credit because you can't put any imagery of genital mutilation onto their videos at all, not even for a split second. I actually accidentally put some up where I didn't cut out enough of the video, and there's like a quick blip of the image of baby getting cut or whatever, and they nixed the video. So at YouTube, you can find those videos pretty easy. Some men commit suicide.
Yeah, I've read about those situations.
Yeah. And then you have the psychological effect on children, not just the children that have been cut and they discover or figure out they're missing some parts or whatever, or get bullied or whatever. But I even worry about children that are children of intactivists like me, my own sons. I worry about they're seeing that this is going on in the world, and I'm sure it's stressful for them to see that they are living in a world that is still to a certain extent barbaric.
You just stole my thought. I was literally thinking barbaric.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the thing is as well, I don't know how much you know, in Turkey, people do that around age 6.
Yeah.
But before that, kids are so conditioned for it that they themselves want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pure conditioning, pure brainwashing.
Yeah, because it's a rite of passage for them. Just like in in the Zosa in Africa, they see themselves as becoming men when they get it done. So they see it as a necessary part of their life in order to get from being considered a boy to a man.
I'm glad they stay a boy.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the state of your body is not what makes you a man.
No. Creating a family, caring for that family, creating a life, those are the things that. And you want to do a transition from boyhood to man? Go get a bottle of vodka. I did that with 16. One bottle of vodka in 15 minutes. I'm no longer a boy, I'm a man.
I like that one better.
Yeah. I was a boy, I was a man hugging a toilet bowl, but I was a man.
That's great.
Yeah.
I don't imagine you're a medical professional, are you?
Nah, I'm an electrician.
Okay, yeah. So that's one of the psychological things, thinking about medical professionals having to either doing the procedure or working in an environment where they are doing a procedure. Then there's psychological impact to parents. Even though this didn't happen to my sons, I feel psychologically impacted because I came this close to allowing it to happen to my oldest son because I trusted doctors. I trusted society. It's something that happens so frequently in my society. I had no idea how much it happened in the rest of the world at that time. So I didn't even question it. And it really sickens me that could have happened to my children.
For mine, never. I already said it to my wife as well. You will not do such thing on threat of your life. You do it, I cut your head off. Basically, that serious to that point. Not with the same words, but she understood.
Yeah.
I'm not letting it happen.
It's amazing how people could be from, we have people all across the spectrum, anywhere from being pro-cutting, like viciously pro-cutting, to people like you that are like extremely, extremely against it.
I'm not against it to a point when somebody is 18 or 21 or something. You want to do it to yourself? Go ahead, do it. You want to cut your arm off? Hey, do it. It's your problem, not mine. Just don't do it to your kid. Or basically, I could say, hey, I have a tattoo. I want my kid to have a tattoo. Let's go tattoo my 2-year-old. That's my parental right. No, it's not. There's a reason why they don't tattoo people under 18.
And then the last psychological thing is intact men. And now you don't live in a culture where cutting is common, so you have a different perspective of psychological impact. You didn't grow up in you said that you came across one boy that was not intact, but you had some feelings about that when you found out that some boys are cut.
Yeah, it was. How to say it? As a kid, it was strange.
Yeah.
It was like, why is it not the same the way it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
And then later, it was like, moment.
Yeah.
Later, it was like, why do they do it? Are they stupid? When I was a bit older. Now, I mean, what the hell? Now, when I know a bit more about it, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's hard to translate those feelings into words,
Yeah. Yeah. Could you imagine living in a world where everyone, except for medical needs, grew up with all their genitalia, and this genital cutting thing of children just didn't exist? And
it would be a nice world if there was no cutting.
Yeah.
It would be a better world. There would be so much pain, so much less pain to deal with, and so much less trauma as well.
Yeah. So I guess the point I'm making is even though you're intact, you are harmed by this culture of cutting children's genitals.
You could say in a way, yes. In a way, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot compare myself to you guys who endured that, who live with that. I cannot compare to that.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's still harming.
Yeah.
Harming to know that there is such a brutality in this world. And for what? For basically nothing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your feelings on that. Okay, the next major section is about relationships. And the first part of that is child-parent trust. Again, you weren't cut, and your mother made a little mistake with retracting you, but I mean,
She didn't know any better. She married young, gave birth to me young. She didn't know better. I don't blame her.
Yeah, but if she didn't do the due diligence and cut you or whatever, do you think your trust level of your own mother would be different?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, if I did get cut or something and learning all that I know now, as I said before, I would be pissed a lot.
Yeah. Okay. You talked a little bit about your partner and about not that you should never ever cut your child's genitals, and that you'd be very mad about that. So that's the co-parenting aspect to this. So it's it creates stresses between partners when this question is even brought up at all. I mean, in your case, it sounds like it was never even a discussion that would ever be considered. But even though that's the case, there's a little bit of stress between you and your partner just because it exists.
You could say, yeah, think about it. That would be the stress.
Yeah.
She did accept she's moving to my culture. That's not a thing. I am not accepting it. Done. End of story. Basically, she understands my point, and that's that.
Okay.
And as I said, protecting my kid, even with my life, if I have to.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And then there's the mother-child bond, particularly during the first, hour, or sometimes call it like the golden hour, or even the several, days following birth.
Don't remember.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say that it's an important thing. People have done some psychological studies and all that the child needs to be with the mother after birth for a while, preferably with skin-to-skin contact. Hopefully breastfeeding and all that stuff. If a baby is taken away from the mother and it goes through trauma, and then comes back and is still dealing with that trauma and all, it kind of affects the bond.
There was even I did see somewhere there was a study about circumcised children having different brain waves or something. There was some wrong wiring in the brain.
Yeah, they did an MRI study before and after and during.
And they had to interrupt the study because it was very inhumane.
Yeah, they realized that it truly is torture.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next section is about pedophilia. I'm kind of curious in where you're at. Is pedophilia much of a thing?
There is. I mean, it happens. It is strictly punished. Even I can say from a personal experience, this is a story. I almost landed in jail because I used to live with a guy who basically planted a few naked children on my computer and reported me to the police. So for 5 little photos, those were so big that if you opened them full screen, you would only see pixels. I almost got 10 years. Wow. And I could not prove that it was not mine. Yeah. It was planted. The guy just didn't like me and planted that on my computer. I never thought to have a password on my computer. I mean, I pulled out of it, but pedophilia is strictly punished over here.
So there are some thoughts, theories around the genital cutting contributing to pedophilia, and I can imagine that being the case across the board, whether you're talking about cutting females' genitals or even intersex genitals or whatever, and that contributing to pedophilia. I have.
I really don't know. Could be, doesn't have to be. I would say that's in the head of the people doing it. Some people are just wired wrong, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to study, like how many pedophiles are, circumcised versus not, and other things.
I don't think it makes big of a difference, honestly. I mean, that's my opinion. I
Yeah,
don't think it makes big of a difference. I think it's just the wrong wiring over here.
yeah. Well, a lot of people talk about how an intact, a circumcised preputial amputee doesn't have all of their sensitive skin, the light touch skin receptors, nerve receptors. So what they have to depend on instead is pressure, the squeezing. Some women
Mhm.
do Kegels and all that so they can squeeze more when they're
Yeah,
having sex, and there's attraction to tighter vaginas for it.
yeah.
So men that again are previously amputated are attracted to that sort of thing, and young females typically have tighter vaginas, right?
Yeah, but not always the case.
Yeah, not always the case, but that's the general thought behind it. I
I
mean,
do can tell you, I was in a relationship with one. He was, let's say, relatively young.
mhm.
Inside her, I felt like a wiener in a hallway.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So
Did she have any children beforehand?
no, no, she was
Oh,
11 months younger than me,
oh, okay.
and that was when I was what, 20 or something,
Okay, so she was
eight,
fairly young.
19 or 20. I'm not sure it was.
Yeah.
I
Huh.
felt like a wiener in a hallway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a theory. It's just a theory. It's not, who knows for sure, but it's a theory that people come up with.
I would say that's more of an exception than the rule
Yeah. Okay.
for my ex.
Yeah. Okay. Relationships between doctors and patients. I don't think that's probably it probably doesn't probably don't come across this in your country, but here in the U.S., so many of the doctors either perform the procedure or push the procedure. And personally, I couldn't have a doctor that did either. I find it abhorrent, and I don't think I'd be able to get on with the doctor. And I wouldn't be able to trust that doctor with my care because if they think that it's okay to do that, then what else um, would they
What other
do
part of their oath can they break?
exactly when it comes to caring for me? So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then relationships between friends and family. Do you have any friends and family that you've spoken to about this that and had difficult challenges with the relationship?
Not really, actually. No, I did mention it a few times to my mom, and she was actually quite shocked as well about it too.
Yeah.
I mentioned it to one of my buddies and found out he was actually circumcised as a child, but he had a real medical condition. I don't remember the name. He had real issue that
Okay.
it had to be done, and he still did not do it to his kids, and he still says also that it's not good. I mean,
Okay.
for him, it's good enough.
Yeah.
It had to be done. It's better to lose that part of the skin than to lose the whole
Yeah.
penis.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Okay.
I
So
mean, I
it's
mean, I did mention it a bit here and there to some work colleagues, friends,
yeah.
but never met opposition about it. Most of them agreed that it was bad.
Okay. All right, the next section is about FGM, but we already covered that when we were going over your letter. And then
Yeah.
the last section is about social productivity. And I added this to the list because I see so many advocates for genital autonomy spending so much of their time and energy trying to educate people and trying to get people to see, wake up to this harm that they're it's impacting their lives otherwise, their family lives, their lives with work. They can't maintain a higher paying job or whatever. Um, so
I can
socially,
agree.
they're less productive.
I can agree. It happened to me too, staying awake for a bit longer, texting, not texting, typing away on that one thread with someone until 2 o'clock, and I have to wake up at 5 o'clock next morning. But
Yeah,
there is a chance I can do something. There is a chance of positive outcome. There is a chance. There is a
yeah,
chance. Come on, stay, stay, stay.
yeah. Wow.
So yeah, I can say it happens. Especially as I said before, there was no need for me to advocate here. I mostly do it for you guys overseas,
Yeah,
and that's
and
a time difference.
we so appreciate that over here. We really appreciate. I think I was saying earlier that there are intactivists in Europe. They don't do protests or billboards over there like we do here in the
No,
United States. But
there
the
are whole
actually,
countries that want to ban that thing.
yeah, exactly, like Iceland and
Even
Denmark.
Germany tried it once.
Actually, it was banned for a little while because the judge ruled that it was
The,
a
yes,
harm.
yes, a smart judge.
Yeah, exactly. And then a politician got involved.
Yeah, the thing is, with Germans, I believe they would do it, but the problem is, every time they do anything, somebody jumps and yells Nazi, they back down.
Yeah, that's sad. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then the end of that.
Yeah. The lesson of that war wasn't that the Jews should get their way, right? Yeah, it's a thought canceling reaction, I guess. And
Yeah.
the anti-Semite, you know, claim and all that. Yeah,
Yeah, I could say for myself that I'm my entire religion, not just one religion, an entire all, but
yeah,
that's my point and opinion.
yeah,
I don't go around shoving that into people's throat until they start shoving their religion down my throat.
yeah, yeah. So you are proof that genital cutting doesn't just harm people in the cultures where genital cutting is occurring, but it's affecting people all across the world as they find out about this horrific practice
Minority, yes,
and what
because
they're
many
doing.
people simply don't care about it. Many
Yeah,
people will not interest themselves about it because it's not happening around them.
yeah, yeah. And I want to say thank you for doing your part to help out here in it.
Hey,
Thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. You could say we are all part of one big family, humanity.
That's
We
right.
should help each other.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm glad if I can help. If I can save one child, that's enough. If
Okay.
no more, at least one.
Yeah. Yeah, and you really have no idea how many you are saving. I shared this on a video yesterday, interview yesterday. I one day I was out protesting in the bloodstained pants outfit and holding the sign and everything, and this car pulled up and I had to stop waiting for the light, and there were these three young girls, you know, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years old, sitting in the back, and they were looking at me, and I imagined, well, and who knows, 7, 8, 9, 10 years in the future, they might have a child, and good chance they're going to remember me. They're going to
Yeah,
remember this guy
that is
standing in
also
bloodstained
some
pants.
things just, yes, some things just get stuck in the head.
Yep.
Maybe as well next time. It's possible. And who knows, maybe if we are lucky and in 10 years it really becomes a bad thing for everyone. Maybe people will start thinking about it that it's not good or stop doing it so much or whatever. I don't know. I cannot think that far into the future because it's inconclusive.
Yeah. But we got to try, right? I mean, our conscience eats at us if we don't.
Yeah, that's why I try, even if it's weeks apart, but I try.
Yeah. Definitely appreciate it. So,
You're
is there anything
welcome.
else you would like to add to this before we end this call?
Well, I think that was mostly that, not too much about it.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
That's it, basically.
Okay, Matija. Well, thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You're very welcome. I wish you a nice day too.
Thank you. Bye.